In this episode, we are going to be speaking about the ethical principles and morals that each and every one of you should have if you are wanting to become successful at mediumship. If you're new here, my name is Psychic Medium Jordan Coburn, and I can prove with evidence, my friends, of the afterlife. I've helped thousands of people on this earth plane to once again be able to recontact their loved ones in spirit from the understandings and the teachings, and now it's your turn. Each and every one of you can become great mediums. In here at Help Heal Serve, we can give you the tools to forge your own unique understanding. Not to mention, we have the loving and supporting Help Heal Serve family. This is video number 3. If you've just stumbled across this, I would ask you to go to video number 1, or this is going to be it's going to get very confusing for you very quick, because we're going to be referencing at some point some of the things from previous videos. Also, if you are somebody who is serious about being a medium, there is going to be over 200 videos in this playlist. This is a full guide to mediumship. That being said, we're covering many different aspects of mediumship, and I know there might be some of you who think that these videos are going to be irrelevant to you, but if you don't watch these videos from the start to the finish, then I can't guarantee you the connection to the spirit world. And why can't I? Because if I haven't been able to rebuild you as a person so that you have understandings that serve you, then unfortunately, you're going to be back to square one. You're going to have some understandings, but then you're going to be missing. Just one little piece of the puzzle is enough. Think of a jigsaw. Think of a jigsaw. Each and every one of you now, there are thousands of pieces to a jigsaw. If you lose one piece of that jigsaw, it's rendered useless. It's not fit for purpose no more. It isn't going to give you that aesthetic pleasing on the eye, because that's not what it's intended to do. You need every little piece to be able to connect the dots and to make it that masterpiece. This is the same with mediumship. Even if you get bored in these videos, I would recommend you to watch them from start to finish, and I'll tell you the reason why. You all know that when I come in front of the camera, it's 90% spirit, 10% Jordan. Whilst I might have the titles to what I'm going to be speaking about, the second I come onto these videos, the spirit will take over and we'll start talking about loads of different things, and I jump in. Ethics is going to be one of the things that each and every one of you need to have at the very beginning of your development. And I'll tell you the reason why. Listen, you don't have to go far. You don't have to look on many social media platforms to see people who don't have any ethical practices whatsoever. Now, quality control is something we're going to be tackling in this video. But in terms of ethics, you have a duty of care to anyone who you are working for or gaining information to deliver, to be honest. To be honest in your delivery, honest in your approach, honest with the information you bring forward. That doesn't mean to say you wing it, you lie, you tell porcupines. And when I say this, right, I've seen people who are on platforms preaching to be mediums, right? They're not mediums. They are going to have a complete overhaul in the way that this works, because what you're going to find is in years to come, when people see how mediumship's actually done from this platform, people are going to start turning away from these individuals, and they will highlight them as being scammers. This is good. Whilst I wouldn't actively encourage any of you to go out and find these people, listen, let them crack on with it. But mankind, through their own naivety, have become so sensitized to the practices that go on. That's why we are giving each and every one of you the understandings, so that when you go out into the world of mediumship, you can be the best versions of yourself. You can be the best conduit to the message. But in terms of ethics, you've got to remember, honesty is the best policy. For example, if you go into a mediumship reading and lo and behold, something in those moments goes wrong. You lose your connection. You're just having a bad day. Listen, we are all human beings. All human beings. Whilst I'm not giving you reasonings or excuses or get out clauses here, I'm trying to give you a different way of looking at this in terms of being a human being. A lot of us put ourselves on these pedestals where everything has to be perfect. We can give as much commitment as we can to the spirit world. We can perfect and hone in on our crafts or extrasensory perceptions. But you have to remember, at the core foundations, it doesn't matter how good of a medium you are, you may make a mistake. This is where the ethics comes in. If you make a boo-boo, you own that boo-boo. You own it. You don't try and fudge it. You don't try and say that the client's wrong. You don't stand there and say, oh, well, this is the spirit world giving me information and the spirit world are wrong. You are bloody wrong. You have to accept that. Where that. One thing that I've just said there, actually, in spirit of asking us to address this, there are going to be a lot of you who come into mediumship, and I don't tolerate this, by the way, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. If there's any of you who are on this course and wanting to become a medium, any one of you, if you use this straight away, I'll call you out on it. And I'll tell you the reason why. This is where you use a third person. Now, what do I mean by that crazy bold statement? Some individuals on this earth plane believe that they have a go-to person, a gatekeeper. All of these different things, right? Which is absolutely ludicrous. It's ludicrous. And I'll tell you the reason why. When you have a good understanding, you'll see why it's ludicrous. But what this introduces into their mediumship and into the readings that they've got, it's very crafty of mankind what they do. And I'll tell you why. Mankind have a get-out clause by having this person, because this person is just going in between them in spirit, so they could have the information wrong. Get what I'm saying? For example, let's do a little bit of a mock. This is how mediumship. Let's do a little bit of a reenactment of how a mediumship reading should look, and how a mediumship reading shouldn't look. Speaking about the third person, put in perspective. Sorry, I got hay fever, so. Going into a mediumship reading, we are going to be delivering clear, concise information each and every second. So I have your father, John, here. John passed of a heart attack. John also tells me that he has the entirety of his life, he served at the very beginning, first quarter of his life within the Royal Navy. And then for the latter ends, he went into retirement and he had actually been a fire officer. He had clarity, direction and purpose, right? Let's have a little look there at what it would be like introducing a third person. The spirit world tells me John is maybe his name. Oh, I don't know, John. I don't know, John. I'm sorry. Oh, well, spirit must be wrong. You see, it's the person I'm working with from spirit. Sometimes they get it wrong. They're allowed to get it wrong, you know. They're allowed to get it wrong. No. You, in those moments, have brought forward that evidence. You are wrong. Not the spirit world, not anyone else. The problem is individuals on this planet that don't like to accept blame, especially in mediumship, because remember, these are egotistical individuals that we are dealing with. They have narcissistical traits. They want to be the be-all and end-all. They want to keep you underneath the foot. They want to always look good, so that when you look at them, you are like, oh, wow, how amazing. So they don't like to look wrong. If any one of you are introducing a third person, a get-out clause into your mediumship, stop it now. Seriously. And whilst that might sound very aggressive in that sense, I'm trying to make you the best version of yourself. Don't be giving yourself shortcuts. Don't be giving yourself little get-out clauses like I've just shown there. Speak your truth. If the spirit world, you have a connection and you are speaking on behalf of the spirit world, speak for the spirit world. But remember, when you open your mouth and you speak those words, the book stops with you. Okay? This is how you find people who suffer from delusions. Because they'll be going, oh yes, the spirit world are telling me that. And the person's like, no, well, that makes no sense to my world at all. Why would the spirit world be giving you that information? Well, I don't know. It's just the way that spirit world work. It's the way that... No, they don't work like that with you at all. As you can see, we get very passionate about certain aspects of mediumship, and the betrayal of mankind in this aspect is one of the biggest things that each and every one of you have to realize and acknowledge, because if you are wanting to become a medium and authentically wear that mediumship blanket, then you have to stay away from these practices. To any one of you who believe that, you need a gatekeeper, or you need this spirit to go and gather the information for you to bring it to you. Listen, that has been entered into your world through your own lack of understanding. That is not the way that it works. It's instantaneous. The only reason why people introduce the third person, again coming back to it, is because they want to get out close. They want to say it, oh, well, it was them to blame. It wasn't me to blame. No, you bloody spoke it. It come out your mouth. You are fully 100% accountable for your actions during the reading. There is no get out clauses. Ethics, you've got to remember being honest in every given moment. There's going to be a lot of times when you're doing a reading where you don't want to be honest. And I'll tell you the reason why, because honesty sometimes is going to seem that you're being nasty. I've done readings, right? I've done readings where I work with archangels. But I've done readings where Raphael comes through and it's absolutely amazing. She's awesome. And before any of you say, oh, Raphael's a male depicted by mankind. Listen, I don't follow mankind's teachings and notions. And I can prove that Raphael is a feminine energy when Raphael works with me. And I'll tell you the reason why. Think about this logically, right? To every one of you who are sitting on the fence with this idea because you've read it in a book, think about it like this. Why do we have male and female sex on this planet? Why, as a species, do we need a male and female? It's to reproduce, yeah? You don't reproduce an energy. There is no need for it. However, what will happen is the energy will come to you in a certain way. For example, for myself, when I was doing readings, I lacked the feminine energy. Therefore, Raphael comes to me in a reading. When Raphael comes through in a reading, it is magical. It's one of those uplifting moments where you see the person in front of me, or they're being picked up, they're being given a big cuddle, and that's it. Everything's great, lovey-dovey-dovey, isn't it? When Asgard comes through, and none of you would have heard of Asgard before, by the way, and that's not because I'm special or I'm egotistical. That's just the way that it is. Mankind do not have any depiction of Asgard. When Asgard comes through, it is very strict. I know the second that Asgard comes through, I'm like, crap, I don't want to say what he's about to make me say. And when I say make me say, I don't mean in a bad sense. It's I'm channeling energy. But a lot of the time when Raphael say, I'm like, oh, smiley. And when Asgard comes through, I'm like, oh crap, please don't say anything too bad. Because I know that person in front of me. I've literally had readings where Asgard's come through and the person's been in tears in front of me. But there might be a lot of you saying, oh, readings are meant to be happy. Shut the hell up. What planet are you living on? In what respect are readings meant to be happy? Readings are there to give clarity, direction, and purpose. If you need to be told of something that you are not paying attention to, then I'm sorry, I'm not going to be sugarcoating anything for you. And if you are living in a dooloo planet where you think that that's what you need, then unfortunately this will never be the channel for you. When we are given readings, remember that we have to effectively be a bit like a chameleon. I say this all the time. Now, I don't mean a chameleon in terms of being a nice person during the reading and a horrible person off the reading. What I mean is being a chameleon. You as a person will need to adapt to the reading. A lot of the time, the spirit world will use your extrasensory perceptions, depending on how you work with the spirit world. If you are somebody who is fully crafted your humanistic traits and your extrasensory abilities and your clairsenses, then the spirit world will actively come straight through you to be able to speak during a reading. And just in the same instance as myself, you will have readings where they are going to be, you don't want to do them. But remember, the reading isn't for you. Unless it is for you, and then if it's for you, then unfortunate, you're going to hear it in the way that you need to. But if you are somebody who is delivering a reading to another individual, and you're sitting there going, I'm not seeing that, then you're not a medium. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to break your little bubble there, but you are not speaking for or on behalf of the spirit world. And this is one thing that we need to come away from. Remember, the readings aren't for you to dictate what part of the message you're going to give. Coming back to myself, when I've done readings where I've been like, oh, I really don't want Asgard to come through, and Asgard comes straight through. Whilst in those moments, I feel bad for the person, I also know the healing that has taken place. So remember, just because a reading seems like it's taken a bad turn, a lot of the times when a reading's at that stage, it's because you are the last port of call for the spirit world to be able to reach this individual. They're effectively like, they've got their blinkers on, they're going through like life like that, and they're going la 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 la. They're not listening to a bloody goddamn thing that the spirit world are saying, and there's something coming or there's something happened that they need to be addressing. That's why for yourself, it will become pivotal for you to speak every last thing that comes to your mind. Remember, being one of the things that I would say with in terms of the ethics, a reading is between you and the individual. Right? I don't mean you, your friend's friend, and the individual. Because the problem is you have a duty of care and a responsibility to not only ensure that this individual gets the relevant healing that they so need and desire, but you have a duty of care to that person for confidentiality. Whilst a lot of you might say, oh, well, I'll just like to talk, what you do with... Yes, I'm not on about sloppy practices. If you want to be a sloppy practitioner, then you go ahead and follow other channels. You go ahead and follow the rest of mankind's ludicrous notions and theories. That's not a problem with me. Couldn't care less. But if you want to be serious, then start looking at this in a professional mindset. You wouldn't like going to a medium and having a reading done where it's been life-changing to you, and 2 minutes later, it was all around social media, it was all over Facebook, it was all over Instagram, and people were talking about you. Why do you think that it would have got to that stage? Do you think it would have got to that stage because the spirit world wanted everyone to know about your details? Or do you think the practitioner who had poor quality control in terms of the way that they do their practices had picked up their own ego? By the way, do you know when I done Gina's reading, you never guess what? A partner's going to leave her, and you never guess what? She's been all of these different things, right? That is your dirty washing. Now, whilst I'm saying dirty washing in the respect of cheating and that, this is going to go for multiple different life scenarios. It could be job changes. It could be anything. That is between you and the spirit world and the individual speaking. So please don't be one of these people who come onto public platforms and start telling you about all of the different people like that. You don't ever see me coming on here. The only time you will ever see me mentioning some scenarios is for educational purposes. It's not to pick up my ego. It's not to make people think I'm great or look good. It's very simple. The people who I've done it with have given me consent to talk to people about it, because a lot of you need to be aware of some of the things that you can do during readings. I mean, mediumship readings, let's give you a couple of examples of what you could anticipate to happen during a mediumship reading. You are going to have life-changing information come through. You could have the spirit world getting you information. You could have the spirit world telling you information that's coming your way. You could have your intuition working with you. There are many different things. All of them are game changers in terms of where you are at and where you are going to. More importantly, clarity, direction, and purpose. Remember when you're doing readings to always get permission and consent from the individual you are going to be doing the reading for. This, my friends, when mediumship is done correctly, you will see that this is life-changing for the individuals who are in receipt of the information. Not like you have been conditioned to believe it's just some sort of facade that you do in a pub or you do on a Friday night when you're a little bit bored. I'm on about when you're doing this seriously and you're taking this as a profession and you have very strong quality control measures. I'll tell you a little bit of a story about how I learned this out a hard way. When I first started doing mediumship, a lot of the times when I was doing readings, whilst I had quality control, whilst I always wanted to strive for perfection, I wanted to strive to be the best vessel, the best conduit to the message. There was one time, in fact, there's 2 times. I'm going to give you 2 examples here, actually, not just the one, so you're in for a treat. But the very, very first time, I always remember that there was an individual who had come to me and asked me to do a reading on behalf of their girlfriend. Whilst in the first instance, I knew it was wrong for me to do so because I don't know what's going on in these people's worlds. I don't need to know. I should have, in those moments, listened to my intuition and said, no, I should have. End of. I knew that, but I thought, you know what it is? What the hell? This person wants a reading for her. We'll go for it. It only turned out and transpired that she had no feelings towards him no more. And it was quite upsetting because he already knew what I was saying. He already knew all of the different things I mentioned during the reading. So he was devastated. It was good for him to be able to hear for clarity, but it was also devastating because I shouldn't have been doing that. Yes, I could have give him a reading and I could have give him clarity, direction and purpose, but I didn't. I went along the line of doing a reading for his partner. His partner never approached me for a reading. Yet, to this day, obviously, it freaked the hell of the pair of them out because he mentioned to her the things I had said and she was like, well, who the hell is this bloody person? Like, what on earth do you mean? How does he know that I'm going on to this college course next month? How does he know that I'm moving away from you? All of these different things. So as you can see and as you can imagine, it can become very, very scary, very, very quick if you don't control it and you don't manage it properly. The next example I'm going to give is going to be when I was doing a reading, and instead of listening to me intuition once again, I decided to do a reading in front of other people. This was probably one of the worst moves I had ever made. Now, before any of you think, oh, did you get it wrong? Of course I didn't get it wrong. That comes down from the understanding. You don't get this wrong when you know how to do it. But I had a duty of care to the individual who was going to be receiving the information. And rather than me putting them first, I just went along with what they had asked. I didn't give it a second doubt. Spirit told us not to, by the way. And I didn't listen to Spirit. Within 3 minutes of us delivering this reading, the person was in tears. In tears. There were people all around looking at me as if I had said something nasty. That put me in a very awkward position because I hadn't even thought about that in the first instance. I hadn't even thought about the aftermath of that. The duty of care for this person was kind of out of the way. I wasn't really too in. I was just giving them a quick reading, telling them what they needed to know, and I was out of there. But I had done this in a busy place. And now you've got eyes all around looking at us, thinking, bloody hell, he's just said something nasty to this person. That is another thing that you need to be very aware of, your situations. Make sure you are giving readings in the right locations. It's your duty and responsibility. Use these 2 examples that I've just given there so you don't have to learn from that. When you're giving readings, a lot of you are going to not realize this, but in the midst of a reading, you are going to retain the information that you need. Then you are going to pass it on. When you come out of that reading, that's gone. And if there is some of you who this isn't the case for, and you do remember some of the readings, because me personally, I can only speak from my account, I don't retain any of it, and the reason why the spirit world say that I don't retain it is because it's not for me. You've got to remember, if I do sometimes 10 readings a week, then I do everything else, then I do me tarot. If I was to do readings for people every day of the week and retained their problems, their stories, their worlds, I would be in an emotional wreck by the time the weekend come, wouldn't it? You couldn't live your life like that. This is why the spirit will do a very good job of making sure when they give you the information, you're just a conduit. You are just. Remember this to each and every one of you who come onto this mediumship journey. You are just. Don't think of yourself as anything special. Don't think of yourself as anything gifted. You are just a human being who is wanting to connect with energy. That is going to help you to enable that you are grounded at all times. Not grounded in the spiritual sense. I just mean in the compass mentis sense. You know your place. You aren't going to start thinking that you are some sort of god. Because that's not going to go down for you at all. Remember when we are given the information, we've passed that information over, don't go and kiss and tell is what I say. Don't go and tell people. Don't tell your friends. Don't tell anyone. Keep it between you, spirit, and the client. And if it's between spirit and you, keep it between you and spirit, because then it's more special. It's more personal to you. A lot of the times when we are doing readings, you've got to be very cautious and very aware of people's emotional statuses. Now, people won't tell you often when they are experiencing grief, or they may be going through a hard, difficult patch in their life. They won't tell you. Well, most people won't tell you, in my experience. But you as an empath, you as an individual, have your extrasensory abilities, which you can gauge that information. If somebody comes for a reading from yourself and you can gauge from their energy that they are extremely upset, you need to be mindful of this, because after the reading, this person's probably going to need some after support from you, i.e., an email, how you getting on, is there anything that I can assist you with, blah. Yes, remember, we are there to help and assist, to help heal and serve, but we're not there to let other people run our lives. That's not the way that this works. So remember to set up boundaries with that. But for people who are emotionally struggling, people who are suffering from grief, then it is your duty and your responsibility to ensure that after the reading and they've absorbed that information, that they know how to deal with that. A lot of readings, it'll just be a case of going in, doing what you need to do, coming out, hey ho, off to the races we go. Not a problem, not an issue. Some readings, when the reading dictates, you may have to put a little bit more effort in, is the point I'm trying to make. Don't just be this cold person who's just doing reading after reading after reading and you're not bothering about the people. That isn't going to sit well for you, and it's not going to look good for your image, and it's not going to look good for when people want to approach you for information. One of the biggest things I must stipulate to each and every one of you is to reaffirm to individuals who are coming for readings that this isn't something that they should be doing. And whilst a lot of you are saying, well, you're telling us to be mediums. Yes, I'm educating you on how to become a medium so you don't need to go to people, but don't have a dependency on it. Live your life. A lot of the time, you've got to remember you come to this planet to spiritually learn, to grow, to go through different circumstances. Whilst the spirit world are always there, they aren't living your life for you, and they will never live your life for you. You have to make some mistakes. You have to make the changes yourself. You have to go through the hard work. It's no good just sitting back saying, oh, well, I'm going to go and ask the spirit world what I should do today. What do you mean you're asking the spirit world what to do? Bloody think of it yourself. They're not there to do that. The spirit world are in a wealth and an abundance of energy. That being said, that energy isn't there to be exploited by you for your own selfish needs. If you don't know what you want to eat tonight, should we ask the spirit world that? No, of course we shouldn't. That's not really going to forge a strong connection with the spirit world, is it? It's kind of like taking the pee, if I'm honest with you. Go to the spirit world when you need information, when it is information that is critical to you as a person, but do not become dependent on it. If you are becoming a medium, and like for these sorts of videos, when you go into a mediumship reading, then obviously you're going to have to become dependent on it. But what I'm saying is in your everyday life, don't just continuously look for the spirit world. Don't continuously just look for answers. Don't get them when you are working alongside the spirit world. That's going to be the easiest way for each and every one of you to be able to learn and to connect and to embrace the spirit world for what they are. If you are somebody who becomes a medium by the end of these courses and you are ready to embark on it, if somebody tells you you shouldn't be charging for your services, then I'm sorry. Whether you like me saying this or not, I don't care. Anyone who doesn't charge for their services cannot call themselves a medium. And I'll tell you the reason why. How the hell can you bloody know if you're getting the information correct if you're not charging people? People are going to tell you whatever. Listen, right? If we said today, out of 100 people, we went and done free readings on members of the public, just random people. We done it out of 100 readings, I can guarantee you 100% that you're probably going to get 95% of them who would just say it was nice anyway. It was nice to be in the company of somebody who was nice to them, nice to speak to them. That's not mediumship. When you have, like, so for myself, for example, right, I charge at a standard rate of £120 for a mediumship reading. Now, a lot of you might say that, oh, that's far too much. But if you look at my readings in comparison to some of the generic garbage that's actually out there on the World Wide Web, you'll see why there's a little bit of a difference in the decimate of the price. Because I take my work seriously. I can prove with the evidence. Also, remember this. Individuals who don't charge for their services, I'm going to tell you now the reason why they don't charge for the services, and it's going to blow your little socks off. A lot of people are going to tell you it's because they're nice, because they're just such a nice, loving empath, and they just want to give so much back to mankind. No, it's because they're scared. They are scared to step out of their comfort zone. They have went into that comfort zone and they are scared to step out of it because they know when they start charging, people are going to look at them for the services they are offering. If they're a medium, self-acclaimed medium, and they aren't charging anything and they've never charged anything, then I'm sorry, you're not a medium. You can't be a medium. How can you be a medium if you can't prove that you have that evidence? And whilst there's going to be a lot of you who say, well, actually, Jordan, I've done a couple of readings and this person said it was nice. I'm not on about being nice in a reading. I'm on about giving clarity, direction, and purpose. Direct guidance from the spirit world. Not about lovey-dovey clouds coming down and people wrapping you with wool and giving you a cuddle. I'm on about clarity, direction, and purpose. This is what you all have to understand. When you start practicing mediumship, yes, don't charge. I wouldn't recommend any one of you to charge for your services until you know that you can speak with confidence, that you have that connection. You can prove it every time, not just 1 out of 10 times, every time. Then you start charging. How many of you know of doctors that work for free? How many of you know of hospital staff that work for free? How many of you know dentists that work for free? How many of you know teachers that work for free? How many of you know law enforcement that work for free? I'm going to round it up nice and quick for you. The reason why they don't is because they have to live. They have to be able to financially sustain their own living. You need to do that in mediumship, my friends. If you want to take this serious, come away from all of this BS, right? You see all of these people, right? They're doing these little generic readings and it's like, oh, I've pulled this card and this card says it's love and affirmation and you need to be better. What do you mean I need to be better? Or you'll see somebody in a reading and going, the spirit will tell me, Gina, you've had a difficult week, Gina, and I think what we need to do for you, Gina, is to get you out more. Where's the clarity, direction, and purpose? People are paying for this. People are bloody paying for this. You don't have to go and look very far to be able to see why it annoys us. Remember, off camera, I am the same person that you'll see on camera. And I think that's pivotal for each and every one of you to know. You have to be a mirror representation of who you are. Don't try to be something you're not, is the point I'm trying to make. If there are aspects to you that you don't like, you need to address them. You can't suppress them. Go to video number 1 of this series if you don't know how to deal with some of these issues. But remember, each and every one of you need to be the person in mediumship that you are in your everyday life. It is mirrored into mediumship. Don't try and fob the public off. Don't try and fob individuals off by claiming to be something that you are clearly not. If you are just such a lovely person in mediumship and then you come out to mediumship and you're an absolute idiot, the problem is with that is people will pick up on that. And let's be completely honest, if there's that change of dynamic within the character, then what's to say that is not the same change in your mediumship? Get what I'm saying? If you're willing to be one, and in one respect in terms of for keeping face with people, if you're willing to be nice to people in mediumship and then you're not in your everyday life, then when that's mirrored into mediumship, how can people take you serious? How can people see that you are authentic in the delivery, in the words and the evidence that you're bringing forward? It's never going to work like that. So remember, be comfortable in the person that you are. And if you're not comfortable, then we need to work on it. We need you to become comfortable because this is going to be brought into your mediumship development. We can't have that. It's not something that we can allow, nor we want. A lot of the time, people won't speak about this, but mediumship in itself, especially when you are in the early stages, is going to be draining on you as a person because mentally, emotionally, physically, you are going to be working alongside of energy. You're going to, again, spirit world will give you an abundance of energy. When you start working with spirit, you get an abundance of energy. But when you come out of a reading, you don't have that same energy. So it's about you managing and being able to maintain your energy. One thing that I will say to each and every one of you is, whilst we can be nice, we also have to be very cautious and aware of, I call them energy leeches. And that doesn't sound nice, does it? It's not meant to sound nice. Some people in this life will just take your energy freely. They couldn't care less about you. They just want to zap each and every little aspect, element of life out of you as a person. These sorts of people are going to suppress you. These sorts of people are going to hold you back. These sorts of people, the spirit world will move away from you. However, you need to acknowledge in the first place that it is about your personal journey. This is about you. The spirit world can do many different things behind the scene, but ultimately, it's you it all falls back on. If you're going to let these people impede on your world, again, when we're coming into mediumship readings, don't allow people to just come to you every other day for a mediumship reading. Don't charge people every other day. For me, I don't allow people to come back for mediumship readings till at least 3 month time. At least. And in all fairness, I prefer it if they don't come back to us. And that's not because I'm a nasty person. That's because I tell everyone now to come and get the tools to come and learn it for themselves. You'll see in a couple of years' time, I'll not even bother doing readings because I just want people to be able to do this for themselves. I couldn't care less about readings. My passion isn't in doing readings. My passion is about helping each and every one of you to be able to help yourself within your mediumship journey. That's where my passion is. That's where I enjoy to be. Selfishly, that's what I will do because that's what me and the spirit world have in store. It's not about just following the normal meta by just doing readings. Don't get us wrong, I had to do readings to prove to people that I knew exactly what I was doing. But when the time comes, we'll just step away from it altogether. We don't need to do readings is the point I'm trying to make. Financially, I'm stable enough. I have a lot of things that I do. So, yeah, I think what I'm going to do is we're going to bring this video to an end there. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you're enjoying this series so far. If you did enjoy this video, remember to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also you can become a channel member now if you do want to. Also, remember, if you did like this, check out the videos at the top left and right of the screen. And until next time, bye-bye for now.